Hi, hello. As the title says, this is a Beauty and the Beast video. I thought the internet doesn't have enough of them. Be warned though, or you can be delighted. I will be talking about a lot of other stuff as well. Okay, let's start at the beginning. I never grew up with the princess craze. Actually, I don't even think I've seen all the Disney animated films. But I did see Beauty and the Beast, and there've always been some things about it that I enjoyed. The atmosphere, the contrast of the happy small town with the cold and solemn castle, the idea of the servants turned into objects, the supporting characters. The songs are catchy too. You might be wondering then, what's my problem? Where's this video going? Well, as you'll see, I just enjoy overanalyzing. It kind of feels like I have a troll on my shoulder. You know, they say we have a devil on one shoulder and an angel on the other. Well, instead of a devil, I have a troll. And from time to time, he too needs to be given a voice. And because Belle isn't the only pretty girl with lofty dreams living in a small provincial French town, I decided to use two vastly different works of fiction and see what one can say about the other. Yes, this is happening. Here are some of the things that I'm gonna talk about. What would Belle's life be like if she had not encountered the Beast? Why is her character so bookish? Was it important for her to be like that? And is reading fiction actually bad for us? Yes, burning topics indeed. Alright, let's get on with it. It's a good thing there's always room for dissecting and nitpicking on the internet, because here I go. Number 1. I want to adventure in the Great White somewhere turned into Belle going to a nearby castle and settling there happily ever after. Maybe she went on some adventure-filled holidays with the Beast? You could say that the addition of the teleporting book might help them with that, but somehow adventure and visiting are not quite the same thing. Number 2. Connected to the first point, I want so much more than they've got planned, turned into her becoming a princess. So, I guess it's more than what the villagers had planned for themselves. But is that what she wanted initially? You'd think that with all the talk about books, reading, inventing, she might want to be an academic, she might want to go and study somewhere if that's possible, she could become a teacher or an inventor in the new version. I'm not saying that she couldn't still do this, but it's never shown or implied. Number 3. If Gaston would have imprisoned Belle, would she have fallen for him? I mean, she got to know Beast and melted his heart while she was captured. Maybe she would have done the same for Gaston. I know the two guys kinda have an arc. Beast begins at a low point and changes for the better, and Gaston, even though doesn't change, presents his worst self right at the end. But that still doesn't mean Belle couldn't have saved him. I'm not hashtag Team Gaston. I'm just saying she picked the dude that she spent the most time with, which means Belle's arc could have been the same regardless of her choice. Number 4. Belle still would have needed to seriously work on either of these guys, no matter which one she would have picked. I don't want to believe that she's improving herself with breathing because she's eventually going to have to straighten some guy up. That'd be sad. Even from these few points, it's fairly obvious that Belle doesn't suffer major character development throughout the film. It's great that she has a personality, preferences, and opinions, but that's also the problem. Without her smarts, mainly bookishness, Belle would have the exact same trajectory in the story. Yes, talking to your love interest about literature is cute, but it's just one point of conversation. At least in the new version, the Beast is interested in reading before meeting Belle, hinting that they are indeed a better match than her and Gaston. I think the history of Beauty and the Beast makes some interesting comments on the content of the fairy tale itself. Even though there is some research to suggest that the tale is as old as 4,000 years, I'm going to start with the oldest recorded versions that I could find. Some speculations say that the root of the story is actually the myth of Cupid and Psyche from around 200 AD, but an even older version is found in the Panchatantra, an ancient Sanskrit collection of stories dating back to roughly 200 BCE. The tale is about a young woman marrying a snake. She's betrothed by her father to a friend's son. On her way to the wedding, she learns that her soon-to-be husband is a snake, but decides to marry him anyway because it is her father's wish. The events of Cupid and Psyche are put into motion by Venus, who is so jealous of Psyche's beauty that she sends Cupid to shoot the young woman with an arrow to make her fall in love with a wild beast. Instead, Cupid falls in love with Psyche and takes her as his bride. He only comes to her by night, and she's not allowed to see his face. She breaks that rule, obviously, together with Cupid's trust, and for the remainder of the story she is forced to make up for her mistake. In the 16th century Italian version of the story called The Pig King, the pig marries two of the heroine's sisters before marrying her. The two sisters are horrified by the match with the pigman and intend to kill him on their respective wedding nights. Instead, he kills them by trampling them down with his hooves. Yikes. Eventually, the youngest and kindest marries him and accepts her husband for what he is, and so the pig turns into a handsome man. There are many versions from that same period of time, most notably the Norwegian East of the Sun, West of the Moon. In 1740, Gabrielle Suzanne Barbeau de Villeneuve wrote a version where the beast is not only cursed to be hideous, but also with stupidity. Eventually, Beauty marries him out of guilt. In 1756, Jean-Marie Le Prince de Beaumont publishes an abridged version of the 1740s tale in a children's magazine. This is the version Disney took direct inspiration from and the closest to the one we now know. So, you found yourself in a semi-tedious history lesson. Was it really necessary since it's already been done by others and probably much better? Yes, it was. In the Panchatantra, the text seems to have educational purposes and seems to allude that a woman should accept her betrothed husband as he is. There are many interpretations of Psyche and Cupid's story since so much goes on in it, and the clear moral of the story is that without trust there is no love. Other versions up until the 18th century fall into the category of cautionary tales for young women to love their future husbands no matter what. Filtered through the eyes of women, the 1756 version presents a more romantic direction to the tale. Beauty has to fall in love with the beast in order for the marriage to take place. This Beauty is also more independent and interested in culture as were women of the time. I want to note that Romanticism as a movement in literature starts around the year 1770, so fairly close to the date of publication, and some traits definitely fit Beauty and the Beast, even though this is primarily a work of fantasy. Finally, the Disney version brings her smarts and interest in books to the forefront, also making her capable and somewhat independent. So we go from, I don't really want to marry a snake man, but dad says I have to, so fine, whatever, to, beasts are kinda cute sometimes, especially if he's secretly a good person. The constant pieces of the story are the two main characters, even though the dynamic of the relationship changes throughout the fairy tale's history. Like I said in the beginning, I thought it would be interesting to see what happens when one of the constant pieces is missing, in this case the beast. And then I said, I know exactly what classic piece of literature has the answers I'm looking for. Madame Bovary is one of the prime examples of realism in literature. Stripped of the magical elements and romanticism, this novel can show a possibility of what Belle's life would have been without the veil of fantasy. No talking objects, no enchanted castle, no beast. As we know, realism presents things as they are in a truthful manner, avoiding the supernatural or exotic. It chronologically follows romanticism, so that brings yet another layer to this overgrown onion of a video. I didn't do a synopsis for Beauty and the Beast because it's been shoved in our faces for decades. I don't mean to underestimate anyone, but without the Disney marketing machine, I think Madame Bovary might be lacking in terms of exposure, so here's a brief summary. Madame Bovary takes place in provincial France near Rouen in Normandy in the mid-1800s. Charles Bovary is a doctor who meets Emma Rouen, the very beautiful daughter of his patient, in one of his medical visits and is instantly attracted to her. After his first wife dies, Charles waits for the mourning period to end and then decides to pursue Emma. He courts her and asks for her hand in marriage. She accepts. Emma was sent at a young age to a convent to receive her education. While she is there, she reads novels that instill in her a yearning for romance, adventure, and luxury. At first, she thinks marriage will make her happy, but that is not the case. She even has a daughter, but being a mother does not change her. Her need for an adventurous life only grows stronger. She has affairs with two men, all the while Emma sinks further and further into debt, trying to live a life beyond her means. She meets a tragic end. Spoiler alert for a 160-year-old work of literature, but Emma is reduced to first trying to seduce again one of her past lovers for money, and then trying to seduce her tax collector in exchange for an extension on her payment. She fails on both accounts, and out of desperation takes arsenic. So, not really source material for the next Disney fantasy film. But wait, there is more. Charles, still unaware of her infidelity, is devastated by Emma's passing. In her memory, he tries to keep up the same lifestyle, but soon finds the letters his wife had exchanged with her lovers. He is shocked, but forgives Emma anyway and ends up dying of a broken heart silently in his garden. The remaining property is seized by creditors. The little daughter eventually ends up living with a poor aunt and is forced to work in a cotton mill. Flaubert's writing shines in the observations he makes on 19th century society, mainly bourgeoisie, but also the presentation of Emma's psychological nuances. Emma was born into the middle class, but she hated it, so she tries anything she can to make her life be out of the ordinary, mimicking the ideals of the romantic novels she reads. Both affairs greatly disappoint her. The first one breaks her heart, the other becomes just as banal as her marriage. If you want the full gist of it, read the novel or a detailed summary or watch one of the movies. She indulges in expenses that far exceed her income, mainly so she can buy fancy house decorations and expensive food, lies and cheats on her husband who in her eyes is mediocre in every way, and is mainly disinterested in her daughter as the child does not fit into her make-believe world. The only admirable thing about Emma is that she sees that there are greater feelings than those of the bourgeoisie, but sadly these observations translate into superficial ideals. Flaubert's novel was so controversial that he went to trial because of it. The reason was that the novel undermined traditional values of women in the Victorian era. The court felt that the women reading it could be inspired by Emma's actions, I guess. Did they read the ending or were they so scandalized that they stopped halfway through? Basically, the whole defense was like, guys, you're reading this wrong. Anyway, Flaubert won and was dismissed of charges without cost. Madame Bovary was published in 1856 and was considered a masterpiece ever since its publication. The writing style is regarded as being impeccable, without a word out of place. It is written in a natural way, without digressions, making Flaubert the first non-figurative writer and a major catalyst for realism in literature. Flaubert wanted to make a book about nothing, a book dependent on nothing external, which would be held together by the internal strength of its style. Making a character like Emma the protagonist of a realist novel is a commentary on romanticism. In other words, it's a big middle finger to all the romantic daydreaming saps that fail to adapt to the reality of their situations. Okay, it might be a bit more nuanced than that, but you get what I mean. In one of his letters, Flaubert once said, if Emma Bovary had not read all those novels, it is possible that her fate might have been different. And that brings us to the point of the video. Yes, there was a point. Both Emma Bovary and Belle start their lives in a small French town, a peaceful setting for a simple, calm life. While Beauty and the Beast presents the people of the town as being closed-minded, set in their ways and are meant to highlight Belle's uniqueness, Flaubert's Madame Bovary makes a thorough exploration of the bourgeoisie, their shallow aspirations in life, and their contrast with the life of the nobility. Emma Bovary is indeed different among the citizens of the town, her expectations being exacerbated to a degree where she compromises her life and integrity completely. The bottom line is that they both feel like outliers in their communities and dream of a bigger life. They are idealistic women that like to read books and aspire to a life full of adventure. They might even resemble Don Quixote, both prepared to fight the windmills for the life of their dreams. Belle's journey is almost meta. She reads about fairy tales and a life becomes one, while Emma's is the opposite. She reads about romance and adventure and is treated to a cold shower of realism. I also want to point out, as if it's not apparent, that most of Emma's and Belle's stories revolve around relationships and their potential partners. It's a lot more understandable in the case of Emma Bovary, as her aspirations are heavily linked to her love life, but Belle's aspirations initially seem to have no significant connection to relationships. A stark contrast of the two stories is their endings. Like I said, Madame Bovary focuses on her love life, and so the conclusion is that Emma destroys all her relationships along with the lives of the ones close to her. Belle saves the lives of the servants and of the Beast, which is great, but since her initial aspirations are not clearly connected to finding a partner, I can't help but feel that in a way it leaves her character with an incomplete conclusion. And lastly, both protagonists are beautiful. It seems like a superficial point to make, but it does play a role in their stories. Belle's outer beauty is a reflection of her inner beauty, while Madame Bovary only shares a vivid imagination and high hopes with Belle. Apart from that, Emma is selfish, immature, and delusional. Emma lived in a time where it was very difficult for her to make her dreams come true by herself. She couldn't make an honest attempt at them because she was completely reliant on other people in her life. Dreams are great motivators, but she lacked all the resources to accomplish what she wanted. She lacked the social status, she lacked the financial opportunities, she wasn't focusing on jobs that might bring her the financial reward she wished for, and this might be debatable, she lacked any skills that would garner her success. All this was paired with her ill-placed value on material gain. Even for Belle, it seems that her only way of achieving anything is through magic. The opportunities seem to come to her because she lives in an enchanted world. If you look at it like that, it's kind of sad. But what I think sets Belle apart is that she's prepared from the get-go to rely solely on herself to achieve anything she initially says she wants. She also won't compromise something she believes in for anything material. So all in all, Belle not only sets for herself different kinds of dreams, she also seems to want to go for them in a principled way. I think I can answer the "is reading bad for you" question here. No, surprise, it's not bad for us. Flaubert actually answers this by writing a book about how reading a ton of trash literature can be harmful. The same goes for any other form of entertainment actually. It's like watching too much reality TV or being too absorbed by social media. A bit of it is fun, a lot can make you blind to the fakeness and generate harmful aspirations. And what he's trying to say is that an obsession with making our reality exactly like something we've come to want and imagine is unhealthy. It's hard to believe that if Belle had not met the Beast, she might have had the same fate as Madame Bovary. By contrasting the two characters, it's pretty clear based on personality alone that Belle's life would be way less tragic than Madame Bovary's. With or without the Beast, Belle would have had a nice life even if magic is not involved. This is as far as I can go with a definite answer on this topic, but if I were to speculate, especially after all this analysis, I would say that a version of Belle that didn't end up meeting the Beast would have probably went to Paris or abroad to study and then come back to the town to set up a co-ed school and teach reading, writing and sciences to the children. I'll add to everything discussed that Belle is mostly a typical princess. Both the history of the tale and the line of Disney princesses makes this obvious, so that means she's above all kind. Belle's bookish traits, her vague objectives in life are added on in the Disney version to make her seem different from her predecessors. Emma Bovary is rarely kind, even to her own child. And that's why I keep harping on about Belle having a conclusion to her ambitions and self-reliance, because otherwise it just looks like they gave a librarian makeover to a standard princess. Just like Madame Bovary's ending presents the aftermath of everything Emma has done wrong, Beauty and the Beast could show us what Belle's intelligence and inventive mind can bring to those around her. As it stands now, you could stick Jasmine or Cinderella in that enchanted castle and chances are the outcome would have been the same. And finally, no, Belle's bookishness didn't help her, not in the context she found herself in and not in a meaningful way. I don't know, change my mind, for me, her character lacks a proper conclusion. That's it. I don't know if anyone's made it this far. If you did, thanks. Maybe that's the next time. Bye!